Welcome to the Winning in Business podcast. I'm your host, Kelly Rissy, and I love talking to business professionals, leaders, and entrepreneurs who are winning in business. Are you ready to reach your next level of success? If so, join us on the Winning in Business podcast as I interview entrepreneurs, business professionals, and leaders who share how they've risen to success. Before we begin, go ahead, hit subscribe and the notification button so you'll be notified each time a new episode is released. Plug in and settle in. You're about to be inspired to rise up to your next level of success. Welcome to another episode of Winning in Business. This is your host, Kelly Rissy, and today I am here with Jeff Koziatek, and we are going to have a great conversation. So welcome, Jeff.
Hey, Kelly, thanks so much for having me.
You bet. So listeners, let me share a little bit about Jeff. So Jeff Koziatek leverages his background as a business owner, artist, and certified coach with the Values Conversation and the John Maxwell Team, alongside a proven process to help professionals do more of what they want, less of what they don't, and love their results. Jeff speaks frequently across the St. Louis region, helping businesses grow by equipping and encouraging on topics like communication, mindset, teamwork, change, adversity, and work-life balance. Business owners and industry leaders hire Jeff to coach them through overload, doubt, and burnout. He has walked with his clients through transitions, helping them to thrive personally and professionally. His disarming, curious, and encouraging approach allows people from all types of industries to quickly identify root causes and map effective solutions that generate results. He regularly shares free content to improve attitude and grow the champion mindset through regular LinkedIn posts, the Mindset Motivation Club, the Breakthrough Moments podcast, and More Moments video series, and frequent one-to-one meetings. Jeff also gives back with his one-to-one give back program, connecting corporations with local kids, mentoring developing leaders, and volunteering in local youth programs. He was certified as a coach with both the Values Conversation and the John Maxwell Team, and has received training in emotional focused therapy. In 2024, the St. Louis Small Business Monthly recognized him as a top business advisor and one of the top 100 St. Louisans to know. Congratulations on that, Jeff.
Thanks. I put that in just for you in light of our conversation yesterday.
Yes, perfect. I love it. So, I feel like we're going to have a great conversation. You and I share similar passions and how we help people and how we impact the world. So tell me, how did you get into doing what you do?
There I was, Kelly, little kid, about yay high, growing up, and I got two messages as a kid. One was deliberate and on purpose from my parents. They said, find something you love to do and make that your job. I love art and people. My parents said, you want to do art? You want to be an actor? Go be an actor. The other message I got was unintentional, and that was, you are what you do. It seemed like people didn't seem to care a whole lot about me unless I was doing something in school or in sports or on stage or writing something or making a piece of art. So I merged those two messages together, became a massive workaholic, said yes to everything, did not know how to say no, did not take vacations, did not take breaks. And I expected other people to do the same. And I became incredibly judgmental, not only of myself, but of other people. And that was not a sustainable way to live. On the other hand, it did open me up to this amazing career in entertainment that allowed me to cross a lot of social boundaries and meet all kinds of people, kids, adults, people from different backgrounds and lifestyle or politics or religion or economics or, cross gender lines, ethnicity, all of that stuff. And what I realized after doing 5,000 performances all over the country was that it didn't matter where I was or who I was in front of. Everyone was wrestling with the same two questions I was wrestling with. And those questions are, what is your worth and where does it come from?
Mm-hmm.
And how we answer those questions impacts the way we do our relationships. It impacts the way we show up every day. And I would see it in the way that my clients interacted with me, the way the audience would interact with me, and working with my vendors and partners. And I thought, well, there, there's this thing that knows no discrimination, and I'm seeing the massive impact it has on people. I could do something about it or not. And I thought, I'm gonna lean and do something. I
Mhm.
mean, I was studying psychology and sociology, and I'm studying human behavior to make me a better actor, to make me a better performer, to connect with my audience. And so I already had that background running. So I thought, let's just dive into that and really get into more of what makes people tick and what keeps us from doing what we want to do.
Mhm.
And I started speaking on worth and how that plays out in 6 topics as a keynote speaker. So now organizations bring me in to talk about mindset, teamwork,
Mhm.
collaboration, communication, creativity and critical thinking, work life balance, how we navigate change, and how we overcome adversity. And then I got certified to do the coaching back in 2014 so that not only can I give people tools, but I can actually walk with them to help create that sustainable change. And so now uh, I am really excited to be able to work with mostly business owners and that C suite level exec on overload, doubt, burnout, navigating transitions. And then I also work with organizations. And it's awesome. I cannot tell you, Kelly, like it feels really good when you get a standing ovation from thousands of people. And yet when I'm sitting across the table from someone and they make that fundamental switch in their core about a mindset or a belief that
Yeah.
was not serving them, and they've switched it to something that is now working and is now helping them to connect in their relationships and helping them to deliver professionally, that feels way better, way better.
Mhm.
That's that's the semi-short answer. Well, you know what? No, I'm going to add to that. So here's the other thing. So there's
Okay.
that track going, but
Okay.
also as an entertainer, my job was to make sure that my audience felt safe. It
Okay.
didn't matter whether I was entertaining for laughs or whether I was entertaining with a message.
Mhm.
It was always to make an offer of safety to the audience. And it was so cool because I would watch people take off all of these layers and get down to who they are, their core authentic self. And then we would have this interaction. I get to see people as they are, not as they pretend to be.
Mhm.
But then after the shows would be over, people would come up and they'd say, "Hey," and I could watch people layer back up. And I thought, well, on one hand, this is really cool because I'm seeing people. On the other hand, this really stinks because people are only allowing themselves to experience that core authentic moment for like 30 minutes. So as a coach, well, as a speaker, I can give people tools so that they can live in that space longer than 30 minutes. And as a coach, I can help equip people so that this becomes a sustainable way of life. And that's what I'm all about, empowering and encouraging others to live as their core authentic self. And I, I I'm home. This
Yeah.
this is why I'm here.
So for you, I mean, there's so much talk about, be your authentic self, live your truth. For you, what success? I think this is the right word. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase the question here. Like, what success do you see your clients have when they are being their authentic self? Right? Like, what are they noticing when they show up authentically, as
Yeah.
opposed to with all the masks on? What's the difference they experience?
When they show up authentically, they're more present in the moment. They're not reacting. They have that moment to respond. They could be in the midst of a storm and uncertainty, and they still have clarity of next step.
Hmm.
That's like their confidence goes way, way up. And
Hmm.
it's not because they know exactly what's going on out here. They've got confidence whether this is clear or not. In addition to that, their generosity goes up. As in relationships, that's
Yeah.
incredibly powerful personally. And then professionally, when they're leading others and their generosity goes up, their teams function way more efficiently. And not only that, but now we're able to plan for succession. We're able to promote people. They're able to let things go. So even as they're climbing the ladder, they're able to let go of their old responsibilities and roles and take on the new ones and step into new stuff and risk making mistakes but letting go of the old stuff that they did really, really well. And they don't backslide into that and start micromanaging people or doing other people's jobs for them. They're able to embrace the new stuff confidently. They're able to make the mistake and see the mistake for what it is, not who they are, and to continue to grow. That's just a few of the things.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. For me, I call that, well, I've started calling it living with ease, because when you show up authentically, like at work, at home, there's so much more ease. Like chaos can be coming at you and
Yeah,
you're just living with ease, moving through the moment, present. You know what I mean?
I do.
It's just a much easier, if that can't, you know what I mean? Simpler way to live. I don't know. And when I say it like living with ease, it just makes me go, ah, you know what I mean? Instead of like how we're like, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And what you're talking about is not a detached frame of mind. It's not that we're unaware or that we don't care or we don't recognize the gravity of the situation. It's
Yes.
that we see all of that and we are confident that we can navigate it successfully.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
That is
and
great. So, I imagine that your leaders that you work with and the environments that they work with in stand out among others, because having the skill to be able to do that is elevates you to new levels.
I think so. I mean, you talk about it as a life of ease, like living in that space.
Mhm.
I use the framework of champion versus challenger.
Yeah.
When we are not standing on our intrinsic worth, when we're not standing on that cornerstone uh, of full lacking nothing worth, then our challenger shows up and is trying to prove ourselves, trying to make up the
Mhm.
gap. And that's when we fall into the trap of comparison. We start competing, we start contending, and we control everything. But that's
Mhm.
all challenger behavior. And that is a life that is not easy. It's not
Right.
smooth.
Right.
Things aren't peaceful. But when we are standing on that intrinsic worth, feeling like we are lacking nothing, like we are enough for the moment, that we don't have to prove ourselves, oh my gosh, then that calm and that ease is there. Then we're able to see the moment for what it is. We're able to see our behavior for what it is. We're able to separate our performance from who we are as the performer.
Mhm.
Those are very different.
Yes,
Very different.
yes. Oh my gosh, that's fabulous. Okay, so the let's get to the heart, like I would call the heart of the interview here.
Ooh,
What are some ahas that you want to share with my listeners about how you are winning in business? What has helped you win in business?
my team,
Mm,
my
okay.
team. So there are three things. There's the compass that I coach on, there's my
Hmm.
mindset, and there's my team. Those
Okay.
are the three biggies. What I do as a coach is help people build out their compass. Their
Hmm.
compass is made up of four pieces. It's understanding your worth, it's understanding your identity as a human, not your role, not your responsibility. My identity is not as a father or a husband or as a dad. All of that stuff comes from me, but it's not
Hmm.
my identity.
Hmm.
My identity is not as a performer, as juggling Jeff, as core authenticity, as business owner. That all comes from me. It's an expression of, but it's not my identity. So understanding those two things, understanding the values that drive me, and then my purpose. And my purpose, I would split into vision and mission, my why and my how. But that does not include my what. Going back to the roles and responsibilities. When I know my compass, then I know true north in any situation that I face. I know the next right step. I can have clarity and uncertainty. When I did not have a compass, my business was all over the place. I was saying yes to everything. I was
Mhm.
overextended. I was double booking myself, which is why I opened a booking agency in the first place. You know, I mean, what do you do when you double, triple book your time? You start sending other people.
Mhm.
And then next thing you know, you got people calling you saying, "Hey, do you know anybody for this?" And now you got a booking agency. I mean, I fell into my work. I am an by artist by trade. Like that's what I studied. I didn't study business.
Mhm.
And I wanted to act and I wanted to perform and I didn't have I'm living in St. Louis. I wasn't living in LA. I wasn't living in New York. I wasn't in Vancouver. So I had to make my own work. So I'm producing my own stuff. So I fell into the role of business. It wasn't something that I had intentionally chose,
Mhm.
right? And so because I fell into it and because I didn't have a compass pointing to true north, I was just very busy and couldn't say no. So helping me win in business now is having a clear compass personally, but also for my company.
Yeah.
So I have one that drives me, and then I have another one that drives core authenticity. The second part of that is the first thing I mentioned, which is your team. And it's something that I talk about in my book, Blueprint for Value.
Mhm.
Oh, it's habit 26, fellowship, having people around me that can hold me accountable, that can call stuff out, that can see things that I can't because
Yeah.
I'm in it. So I break that down into four types of people. You need cheerleaders, you need mentors, givers, and connectors. And of those four, I think your cheerleaders and mentors are non-negotiable. There was a time when I did not have a good team around me, not a professional team like here's your marketing and
Uh-huh.
here's sales and all of this, but I'm talking about you personally. Who helps hold you accountable personally? Back when COVID hit, I found myself without a team. And when my business got erased overnight with no guarantee that it would ever come back, but my bills kept coming, my
Mhm.
mindset shifted.
Mhm.
And when my mindset shifted, I forgot my compass. I lost my compass. And there was no one around me to help remind me of my compass. There was no one to ask those questions and to challenge my thinking. And so I spent more time down than I would like to admit. And there was some fallout from that.
Mhm.
But in the middle of all that, David Alexander said something to me and really came on board my team and challenged my mindset. And when that happened, I was able to reclaim my compass. And then I built out a team intentionally in those four areas. And I would add to that, recognizing that your team, who's on your team, it's not about longevity, it's about filling those seats and filling. You can have more than one mentor. You can
Yeah.
have more than one cheerleader, more
Mhm.
than one giver, more than one connector. It's not about it's not necessarily about how many you have, and it's not about how long they're on your team. It's simply that you have a team. And if
Mhm.
you don't have a mentor or cheerleader, finding one as fast as possible
Yes.
because no one succeeds alone. I think I would have saved myself a lot of heartache and a lot of money if I had a team earlier, right?
Yes.
Because, like I
Yeah.
said, I fell into this. I'm learning as I go,
Mhm.
and a team could have helped me avoid a lot of those pitfalls.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's so true for so many. I'm going to say solopreneurs for sure, right? Because I'm speaking from my perspective. We have something we're really good at, and we're like, I'm going to go into business for myself. And we're really good at what we do,
yeah,
and we may not always have the business background or the marketing background, whatever. And just as you said, we don't see our own blind spots.
no,
And
We
so
can't.
we can't. And so it is so important for us to have those mentors, coaches. I always say a coach needs a coach. I mean, just
Yep.
because we know what we know doesn't mean we also don't need someone else helping us see our own blind spots. And
Great.
having that team around us. I love the four categories that you put them in. And I love when I ask questions like, and who's going to help hold you accountable? And they're like, well, my best friend. And I'm like, well, and your best friend is going to love you, whether you do anything or not. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like they're going to cheer
Yes.
you on and they're going to support you and love you. And they may not be that loving critic or that tough love coach that you need when push comes to shove.
This is exactly why I encourage my clients to find mentors and cheerleaders that are not connected to their success or failure. I
Mm,
mean, it's okay to have a spouse as a cheerleader or a mentor. It's okay to have a close personal friend. It's okay to have uh, your your employer or
mhm,
your manager be that. However, sometimes, like you said, they might be like, you can do this. It'll be
mhm.
fine. And then they don't call out the stuff that they see
Yeah.
because there's some other stuff going on. They don't want to damage the relationship or risk that. Maybe they
Mhm,
don't feel like they have that permission to go there,
mhm.
or or they start freaking out because they're like, oh my gosh, I can't have this conversation because now I'm worried about paying the bills, or now I'm worried about you missing a deadline or not delivering this project. And so there's some conflicting stuff there. Or we might look at that and say, well, you have to say that I look good. You have to
Yes.
say that everything's going to be fine. And then we dismiss the feedback.
Yes.
So it's not that we can't find value there. It's
Mhm.
simply that we can avoid those pitfalls by finding someone that, we can succeed or fail. It doesn't affect them at all. So that
Mhm.
we're more likely to receive their feedback, to see it, to hear it, and they're more likely to speak freely into our lives.
Yes.
That's great stuff, Kelly.
Yeah. Okay, so you covered team, you covered compass.
Yep.
Go into mindset a little bit more.
Every, everything I do is mindset,
Yep.
Kelly. At the end of the day, you either choose to engage or you don't. That's a choice. That's a mindset. That's an attitude. That's a perspective that you bring to the table. I love Carol Dweck's book, Mindset,
Uh-huh.
about
Yep.
growth mindset or fixed mindset.
Yeah.
The idea of scarcity mindset or abundance mindset.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, we've got a choice. And our mindset, you can bring we could talk about this all day. I going to keep this concise for the people watching.
Okay.
If your compass points to true north and shows you where to go next, your mindset provides the fuel and energy you need to get there. And if you have a mindset that is fixed or is a scarcity mindset, if it drops, then you're not going anywhere. You could
Mhm.
know all the right things to do, and you could be supported by an amazing team that can help expand your horizons and call stuff out. But without a motivating mindset, you're stuck, and you'll hear all of these great ideas and nothing's going to happen. So we need a mindset that says, yes, I can figure this out.
Mhm.
Yes, if I've got the skills, I will move forward. If I don't have the skills, I can lean into my team and figure out where I need to go to get the skills, or to delegate that to someone else, right? But the mindset is about finding a way. I spent years teaching people how to juggle, and I made a claim, and I'll still make the claim, that I can teach anyone to juggle as long as we meet two requirements. Just two. Number one is we have to have the want to learn.
Mhm.
If people don't want to learn, then there's nothing I can do to teach them, because they will run into obstacles, they'll run into challenges. That's a guarantee. they will eventually drop a ball. And if they don't want to learn how to juggle, they will get easily distracted and be
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't need to do this. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
go eat a sandwich.
Yeah.
Or, uh, well, I shouldn't say or. They have to want to learn. The other part is they have to have the will to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Because if if you if you and by will, I'm talking about reframing from I can't do this to maybe I can't yet, or I am learning, or how can I make this happen? Or what do I need to do to successfully catch the next ball? That's what I'm talking about with will. Because when my clients would say, well, I can't juggle, then there was nothing that I could do to help them either, because they're putting in their mind this mindset that it's not going to happen, that
Right.
it is fixed and it's never going to change.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so fascinating, Kelly, because if they said that they couldn't, then they would juggle, and when they would make a mistake, they would look at me and be like, "Do you see?
See? I can't.
I
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I made a mistake. This is affirming my core
Mm-hmm.
belief that I can't do it."
Right.
And then it got even more crazy because they would try something if they're trying to juggle for the first time. They would grab 5 balls and try to juggle 5 balls for the first time, setting themselves up for failure so that they could look
To
at the
prove.
failure and say, see,
Yeah.
so they would try to prove to me, and they would try to prove to themselves
Mm-hmm.
that they couldn't do it. And that's what I'm talking about with will. So your mindset has got to shift into a how can I make this happen? Or what if this was possible?
Mm-hmm.
Or I can do this, and if I and I can find a way forward.
Yeah.
We need that. Now here's the thing. Those 3 things that we're talking about, the compass, the mindset, and the team, if we don't have the mindset, but we have the compass and the team, then we know what we need to do, but we don't do it. And we have all these great ideas and all this fantastic feedback out here, but it doesn't mean anything. If we have the mindset and we've got the team, but we don't have the compass for clarity and focus, then we say yes to all of the stuff and we get incredibly busy. And all these people have these incredible ideas. We're like, oh, that's a great idea. Oh, that's a great idea. And that's a great idea. It's not that hard to find a lot of ideas,
Right.
but we don't make any progress.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we've got the compass and we have the mindset, but we don't have the team, our mindsets are not a switch to be flipped and forgotten. Mindset takes intentionality, it takes consistency. You know this stuff. It takes that repetition. Our mindset will inevitably drop. And if when our mindset drops, it's very easy to lose our compass. And if we don't have a team around us, like what happened to me,
Mm-hmm.
uh, fairly recently, we can spend a lot more time down on the ground than necessary. We need all 3 of those. So if we're going to win at business, we need to shore ourselves up with those 3 things.
Yeah, I love that. I love what you were talking about with the whole, they would juggle to prove them and drop everything to prove themselves they couldn't,
Mm-hmm.
because we always want to be right. The bottom
Mm-hmm.
line is, as humans, we want to be right. And so
Yeah.
if we are fixed on I can't do it, we're going to prove ourselves right because we want to be right. And
Yeah,
so it always goes back to the whatever I focus on, I'm going to get.
exactly.
And not a good place to be in if that's the focus. Switch the focus, people.
Right. Right. And it reminds me of the old Bob Newhart sketch, the counselor bit where the woman comes to him and she's like, well, I have this terrible fear that I'm gonna be buried alive inside of a box. Did you ever see that?
No.
She's like, yeah, I have this really terrible fear, and that's why I'm here. And he's like, okay, well, it'll just be $5. And she's like, what? Only $5? He's like, yeah, it's super simple. Here you go. And she pulls out a pad of paper, and he's like, no, 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 you don't have to write anything down. It's just 2 words. That's it. 2 words, and this will clear everything up for you. And she was like, okay, well, what is it? And he goes, stop it. Just just stop it. And I wish things were that easy.
Hmm.
This is why, as a coach, I primarily work with mindset and core belief stuff. Like,
Yes.
let's figure out where your uh, where your thermostat is set.
Mm-hmm.
What is the core belief that you have that guides everything that you do? No matter how far off this way or that way you get, you will always come back to the setting of your internal thermostat, your internal, your core belief about what is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can shift that, then the will changes. Then I can't switches to how can I, or I
Mm-hmm.
can't yet. And then everything changes. We were talking about a team, and in 2022, Dallas Amsden and I got really intentional about working together and holding each other accountable. We became essentially mentors, cheerleaders, givers, and connectors for each other. We kind of filled all four of those roles, and we got very intentional and consistent with our accountability in that we were talking every day. There were daily check-ins. We still do this.
Mm-hmm.
It's been over 2 years, but we still check in, and the growth that we have both experienced on a core belief level is is incredible. I am not the same person because of my team. My mindset is not the same because of my team. And so now we're expanding that out. We've opened up our Communicate to Succeed Academy, and we're helping others to do the same thing in the way that they communicate with themselves, with their mindset, and the way they communicate with other people, with their communication skill set. I mean, when we double down and really get intentional about our teams and build up that mindset, oh my gosh, we could talk about that all day.
Yeah, and I think it is so important for people to really understand how important values are. And, I don't know how you do it. I only know how I do it,
Well,
right?
how do you do it?
With my clients. Well, it's a fairly deep and involved process. Not that
Okay.
involved, but it's a deep process. But when your conscious values and your unconscious values are not aligned, you're not getting where you want to go. And you're hitting a wall and you keep bouncing back, right? And
Yeah.
that's why people struggle and they're stuck and they're in this vicious cycle. And it's because of that. And when you can align your unconscious and your conscious values, you will propel forward. And that is key in the work that I do with people. And when I do my 8-hour deep dives, my breakthrough experiences, we do our value, we look at their values before and we look at their values after. And they're like, oh, that's why I wasn't getting where I wanted to go. Yep. And then they're
Wow.
in line, they're in place, and off they go. It is so important to really look at those beliefs and how they're driving you, and are they serving you, and make it. And I go back to, for me personally, just this conscious and subconscious being aligned. So I love that you talk
Yeah.
about values in that way, because that is so important for people to understand.
I
So
think so.
important. Yes. Yes. I love that. I love that you do that work. I love that your book is called Blueprint for Value. I mean, like, to me, there's value in that, just the word value. And my guess is in there, you're talking about values as well.
That is one of the habits
Yes.
for sure.
Yes.
Do you find that people don't know what they value, or they think they know what they value, but they really just adopted
Yes.
other
Someone
people's
else's.
values?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the work I do around values is, helping people to understand what their core values are,
Hmm.
because I believe that the choices that we make come from our values.
Yes. Yes.
And if we make a choice that aligns with our values, then we feel confident.
Hmm.
Regardless of the result, even before the result comes in, we're like, "Yep, this is the right thing to do here." And if we make a choice that doesn't align with our values, we're constantly second guessing, like, I don't know. And when we're in relationships or in work environment where we're not aligned, things are going to be a struggle.
Yes.
Like, you could take a lot of the guessing game out of it. You don't have to roll
Yes.
the dice anymore. We can we can figure that out now.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so good. Okay, so I always ask this question because I feel like it's an important one as business owners to always know, like, we're not alone in this. Meaning, what challenges have you faced as a business owner?
Oh my gosh.
Because every day is not rainbows and unicorns. We know that. So, what specific challenge? And I know one of them, I feel like you talked about earlier, just the fact that you were a massive alcohol, not workaholic. I almost said alcoholic. Excuse me. Jeff is not that. He was a massive
No,
workaholic, right?
I was,
Which led you into, I'm sure your passion for helping people not hit that burnout, right?
yeah,
What challenges do you face as a business owner?
that's a really interesting question given my current mindset, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna go back in time when I had an entertainment company. The
Okay.
entertainment company worked as a booking agency, event management company. We produced videos and theater. We managed
Mhm.
national touring acts. We were also a performing group. Like we did all kinds of stuff. And at that time, I found my worth and significance in my performance. And by performance, I mean my business,
Mhm.
my income, all of that stuff. So when my employees showed up and when they made mistakes, I felt like it was a personal attack
Mhm.
and that they were messing with me. And it did not position me in a good place to properly manage and support them. And I ended up, my inner challenger came out and I would attack my employees and try to get
Mhm.
everything back aligned. And we experienced a lot of turnover. And
Mhm.
that was not good. I experienced a lot of stress. I felt like I had to micromanage everything. That
Mhm.
was that was a significant challenge. The other challenge was I had the mindset that I was a performer. And so I dismissed or minimized learning about business and learning how to do all of the other things, the building the skeleton for a business that's going to sustain itself. I just got focused on the work and said, nope, I just do that. And I
Mhm.
didn't bother to equip myself with the extra knowledge of behind the scenes or equip myself with a team that could help fill in those gaps. And so I ran into a lot of walls and learned things the hard way. Those are some significant challenges. The other challenge was the mindset that was fixed for a long time. I had a fixed mindset that said you're not going to cross this line of income. You're not going to
Mhm.
hit cross this line of uh, respect among your peers. And so I stayed to that, right? I can't juggle. See? Like that was
Mhm.
my thermostat. And
Yeah.
I didn't even know that I had a thermostat. I didn't know that was the core belief for a long time. And it took working with a coach to figure that stuff out. The other thing yeah, there's lots of challenges. I think when I first met with my coach, I was struggling with focus because everybody said, Jeff, you've got a photography business, you've got a video business, and you've got your performing business, and you're married, you've got kids, you have a house to take care of. Like, oh, and then there's taking care of you. Like, there
Mhm.
was not enough time in the day. And everybody said, you need to find something to focus on. I'm like, how do you focus? Kelly, like, how do I focus if I am what I do and I'm doing what I love? Like, I
Mhm.
can't stop. And so I was stuck for 4 years trying to figure this out. And that's when I met my coach. And we were doing a radio interview for an event, and off air, he's like, yeah, I can help you. I can help you in an hour. I was like, what? There's no 4 years,
4 years. Yeah.
right? He's like, fine, give me 2 hours. I'm like, okay, done. That makes more sense. 2 hours? Yeah, 1 hour is ridiculous, but 2 hours. And he did exactly what he said he would do. And this is why I help people do the same thing today as
Yes.
so those are the challenges. But here's the thing. Right now, Kelly, my mindset around challenges is that there are none. So I would say in the past, these are all challenges that I faced and they felt like challenges. And now I would tell you that everything that happens, I'm really excited about.
Mhm.
Like in the moment, I might feel frustrated or I might feel angry or sad at at a circumstance or a particular person. But after I let that emotion pass through, I don't stuff it down. I don't
Mhm.
try to ignore or avoid it. I experience the emotion, and then I'm looking at this opportunity as a way to grow. I know that sounds cliche, and I felt like it was cliche for a long time. But now at this point in my own growth and development, I'm like, hey, this is great. Now I get to learn how to handle this. Now I get
Yeah.
to learn how to handle this. So it's almost as if there are no challenges. There's just it's just work, and I'm standing on my compass. I've got my mindset. I'm surrounded by my team,
Mhm.
and I'm not perfect. I'm a human being. So
Mhm.
there are days when all of a sudden a challenge does pop up and I'm like, yeah, that's a challenge.
Mhm.
But I've got my team to help hold me accountable. They bring me back to my compass. I'm like, all right, there is no challenge. There is no spoon.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you think like, and the challenge is, okay, what am I going to learn from this? What do I get to learn from this?
Yeah.
And how, because there's always a lesson in whatever the challenge is going to be. At least I feel like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
when do I learn something from this? And it was interesting about the stuffing down the emotions. Um, just this morning, I had something that let's call it, it triggered me a little bit. You know what I mean? And I was, and of course, my go-to would be like, it's all going to work out. You're going to be fine. Let's move past this. I stopped. Like, again, stop it.
Yeah.
And I was
Stop
like,
it.
what emotions are you feeling right now? And I stopped and I settled
Mm,
and I named my emotions. And,
yeah.
something that I give my clients is an emotion wheel, because most of the women that I work with are like, name an emotion. Like, what? We don't want to talk about emotions. We are thinkers, not feelers. We want, so anyway, the
Yeah.
emotion wheels is amazing, but, just naming the emotions, and I named the emotions. And as soon as I named like how I was feeling, I was like, all right, I feel better. Okay.
Right. And nothing else changed. Right.
Nothing changed. Exactly. Other than I felt better, which was great. You know what I mean? And I think that just goes to, we have to stop stuffing the emotions.
Stop it.
Yes, stop it. Okay, so let's like, I
What?
mean, I know you and I could talk forever. We could literally talk for hours, and we are somewhat on a time crunch here.
Oh
So,
no.
what
Okay.
is an accomplishment that you're really proud of? One accomplishment that you'd like to share?
I'm only laughing because of what we talked about yesterday.
Uh-huh.
An accomplishment that I'm really proud of.
Yeah.
Does it have to be work related?
No, huh?
My marriage. Yep. So we're coming up on 19 years in August of 24.
Congratulations.
And thanks. And it's not been easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I love my wife, and I'm convinced my wife loves me. And we have days that are good and days that are a struggle. We've faced incredible medical challenges over the last few years. And but the thing is, it was like three years into our marriage, we had a massive rupture. And in that moment, I thought we were going to move to California so I could be an actor. And she was
Mm-hmm.
like, nope, we're staying here in St. Louis. So we hit a massive wall. And this impasse seemed impossible to overcome. And we sought counseling, and our counselor, it was through our church at the time, and
Mm-hmm.
our counselor challenged us to pray about it every night. That I, not that I go to her side or that she goes to my side, but that we come together
Yeah.
as a team
Yeah.
and figure out where we're going as a family. And we did that every day for 3 weeks. And then one day we wake up, we're out at, I'll never forget this. We're out on Table Rock Lake. I am opening the curtains in the morning to look out on the lake.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, babe, I know where we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be in St. Louis. I think this is where we're supposed to be. And she's like, really? Because I've been looking up apartments in LA that take our dog. And she turns her laptop around and there's a list of apartments. Like we had shifted our
Mm-hmm.
perspective so much that we were finally able to have a real conversation about where we wanted to go as a unit, as a family. And in that moment, I learned the lesson of generosity without expectations, to give, because when we got married, the idea was we'll stay here for 2 years so she can get her master's, and then we're all gonna go to
Yeah.
California. I'm giving you this so that I can get that.
Hmm.
And learning the reality, look, listen, I love you. There's my needs, there's your needs, there's our needs. And I'm going to do this because I want to, because I love you, and it's free. I'm not putting my spouse in debt to me. And then taking that lesson and applying it to everything else. And there's so many things that have come up in our marriage since then. All of these ruptures. Uh, my good buddy Brad Werner is an amazing marriage counselor, and he's the first one that told me about the concept of rupture and repair. He said that marriages are the successful ones are not the ones that avoid the ruptures, not the
Right.
ones that avoid the feelings. They're the ones that get really good at the repairing, really good at
Hmm.
coming back together. And so, we've had the opportunity to practice that many times. And I feel like that's strengthened our marriage. And then I've been able to take that outside of our marriage into managing ruptures and repairs within my work, within my friend circles. And it's something we, teach our kids.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's it, that we are still choosing to lean back in every day.
I love that. All right. Well, let's end this. I believe you have something coming up that goes along with your book. So why don't you share that quickly? Am I
Yeah.
correct? You have a book study coming up?
I do. In April of 2024, doing a quick book study on Blueprint for Value, 52 Habits to Discover and Strengthen Your Personal Worth. It's one habit per page, so it's a super easy read, light reading. There's 4 chapters: engage, equip, empower, and encourage. Oddly, that goes right along with the champion behavior of
Yeah.
engage, equip, empower, and encourage. 13 habits for each one. We take it one chapter at a time. We meet once every 2 weeks for about an hour over Zoom, and it is free. Anybody can join in as long as they have a proof of purchase of the book between now and I believe it is March 29th.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. You just buy a copy of the book between now and March 29th. It could be paperback or the ebook. And let me know that show your
Yep.
proof of purchase, and you can join the club for free. We meet 4 times. So
Okay.
it's going to be
And is
awesome.
the information on your website?
Uh,
That they can get the book on your website?
They can get the book on the website, and then
Okay.
they just need to send me an email saying, "Hey, I'm in for the club."
Perfect. Okay. And I will
Yeah.
put all your contact information and your socials, all of that in the show notes so people can connect with you.
Aw,
And
thanks.
yeah, and thank you. Thank you for the great conversation. And it has been lovely.
Likewise, I want to continue our conversation around the way you approach values, and I would love to talk more about emotions, because I've run into the same stuff,
Yeah.
and people are like, "Wait, I have more than one emotion?
Right.
Or what are emotions?" And I'm like,
Yes.
everything in human history was driven by emotions and
Right.
meaning.
Right.
So
Exactly.
this
Yeah.
is good stuff.
Yeah, good, good, good. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. And listeners, be sure to check out Jeff, check out his book club if you are interested in that, and share and subscribe to this channel. And I will see you next week for another episode of Winning in Business. And until then, rise up and live.
All right.
Thank you for being a part of the Winning in Business podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to rise up to your next level of success, but are worried about increased stress, time for work and yourself and your family, not to mention being exhausted, I'd like to invite you to a complimentary strategy call where I'll show you how you can do it all. I'll help you reclaim time, keep your sanity, handle the chaos with ease, and move to the next level of success that you deserve and desire. I hope you found value in listening today. Please always leave your comments, feedback, or questions. We check them all. I want you to continue winning in business and reach your next level of success. See you next time.